Okay, we're live now. Okay. Hey, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awaken Stories. I'm here today with John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I'm so glad to have you back. This is take two. We did a video a few days ago, and honestly, we had so much corruption in the line. John couldn't hear my questions. I couldn't hear what he was saying very well. It was kind of pixelated. So we're going to kind of just redo the video. There may be new content in here, but it is for sure going to be more smoothly done. So I just want to give you like kind of an overview of John. He has written a book called Stolen Identity, which you can get on Amazon. And I think I heard you say Barnes and Noble soon, John. Is that true?
Yeah, Jackie Goldman, the ghostwriter that helped me write it, is
Yeah.
working on it for Barnes and Noble right now.
Yeah.
There won't be a hardcover on Barnes and Noble right away because 2% of it's $40 for a hardcover.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
2% of the book sales right now are hardcover. So
Yeah.
we're just going to have the paperback on Barnes and Noble for now.
Okay. Okay. So this book is easy to read. It's hard to hear the story. It's a tough story to read. So basically, as you know, John was the son of the former president, one of the most popular presidents we've ever had in the US. And when his father was assassinated, he lived in a kind of a witness protection program, which was filled with organized crime communities, drugs, torture, human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. Unbelievable. Within years, John's entire biological family were murdered and replaced with doubles, which is, again, unbelievable to the general population. John has been tortured, abused, kept in poverty, and almost murdered numerous times. And so the book really smooths out the story that we're going to tell a little bit today. And John had interaction with lots of celebrities, government officials, and the book kind of explains what he went through. So welcome, John. Take
Thank
two.
you. Thank you once again. I appreciate being here. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Being able to get my short story out. It's difficult. Everything we do is difficult to get this truth out because we have so many enemies. And I had just mentioned to you a minute ago that our video announcing that we would be on today was taken down off of TikTok. Well, I appealed it, and 2 minutes later they restored it. But yesterday they had a video that they took down. I appealed it, they restored it, and 5 seconds later they took it down again for good.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, their appeal process is kind of loony, but yeah, we're talking big bucks. And how much is that one person behind their computer at TikTok getting paid not to share my story and the truth?
Well, I've experienced a lot of censorship with just what I've been doing. I'm staying in my own lane. They've taken my videos down and my posts and all of that. And you just have to keep plugging away. I'm not trying to harm anyone. My goal is basically to get the truth out there. And so that leads me to my first question. What is your goal with telling your story? Like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to become famous? Are you trying to become rich? Are you trying to become a politician? What's the reason behind what you're doing?
The main reason is awareness and justice for my murdered loved ones, and then all the above.
Yeah.
I would love to be rich. I was rich when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
would love to be famous. I was famous when I was a kid. I'm just wanting my life back, and that would have all came, but it was all stolen from me.
Right.
And there's on TikTok, there's Henry and Cindy and a couple other people dug up some information about George and George's mother and the real truth, and they're digging up truth all the time. I'm just an old biker. I don't even like talking on the computer or anything else. I'd rather be riding my motorbike down the road. Not that I won't do it to get my story out, but I am doing it every day. But there's so many people helping me do it. I'm like you here today, and so many people, lions that are helping me. And I got a story to tell you. If you don't mind, it won't
Of
take very
course.
long.
Of course.
Um, in 2013, well, 2008, I believed I was poisoned. I was a truck driver. I had acid reflux so bad. I was drinking bottles of Malox and bottles of antacid. It was burning my throat. Well, they fought, so I lived with that. And in 2013, they finally broke down to give me surgery. So in 2013, I went in. It was a lot of weird stuff beyond my control, but I went in and had surgery for a hiatal hernia in 2013. They literally killed me on the operating table. It was supposed to be an in and out surgery. They said it'd be an hour in the operating room, and then I'd come out and I would go home. Well, 10 days later, I had holes in my lungs. I had staples covered my stomach. I believe they messed up my heart. I had burn marks from the defibrillators that they used to restart my heart. My back felt like it was shattered. I think I went into convulsions on their operating table or something. But anyway, I couldn't walk. They had to drag me around the hospital for 10 days. Um, the doctor said he wanted to keep me there. I felt they were going to kill me in that hospital. Actually, after the operation, I woke up screaming in pain, and I wasn't in intensive care. I was actually on the second floor, and there was no one there. It's like they were hiding me out. They wouldn't give me pain pills. And at that time, I was already addicted to morphine for my pain. But they weren't giving me my pain medicine. So finally, 2 days after I should have been in intensive care and I was screaming down there in pain, the doctor showed up, put me in intensive care, gave me that thing you push the button for pain medicine. And I sat there for another 7 days. But the doctor came in. I said, I'm leaving. He said, well, you're not ready to go yet. You still need to heal. I said, you're going to fucking kill me in this place. I'm leaving. And that was 10 days later. Well, the doctor only billed my insurance company for I think it was 3 day stay. They ate the cost of the other 7 days because they didn't want a lawsuit. They wanted to cover up what they did to me because they really botched it bad. It was that laparoscopic surgery. The doctor's assistant it was his first day on the job. So it was the doctor and assistant that had never worked on that before. But anyway, they shredded my insides. So I left. I stayed one day at the Quigley's house after I got out of the hospital. I slept in a really nice bed. And Max Quigley came in that morning and told me I had to leave. I was not welcome at their house anymore. I ended up going, I believe it was up on the hill in a camper trailer, but I was crawling around in the dirt, just trying to survive, telling myself I'm John Kennedy and this is beyond screwed up what I'm going through. So anyway, I filed for disability in 2013. So that's been over 10 years. And I was denied. I went in front of a judge. The judge was paid off. I swear to God, my lawyer was paid off. My lawyer, I had tears running down, but it's natural tears because my eyes messed up for some reason. But anyway, I cry a lot out of my eye. I have no control of it. But my lawyer was sitting there laughing at me, making fun of me. Why are you crying? It's only a courtroom. And I was like, I'm paying you to say this shit to me? And the judge flat out said, you're disabled. You cannot work. What they did to you, you can't hold a job. And then I got a letter in the mail after all that, after the judge said I was disabled, said I could work. So anyway, I got a team of freaking lions. 2 days ago, I got a phone call from the disability office, and I got a phone call from the head boss man in Needles, California, and he said, we approved you. And he said, but about your name change. And I went, about my name change from David Quigley to John Kennedy. So I sent a congressman a book. The, the team of lions I have on TikTok were notifying congressmen. So anyway, the congressman got a hold of this guy in Needles. I got my disability. Yesterday, I talked with him. I was approved. I will be getting a $900 check now every month. But the back pay is another thing. They're totally screwing me out of the back pay, but at least I'm going to be having a check every month, and I thank my team of Lions for that. I really do, because without them, so things are moving forward. And I was just thinking before I got on with you, Sue, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, this world is going to be looking at me and you on this video, and they're going to be saying, "Look what John Kennedy had to do to prove himself to the world, to expose all these criminals." And I was thinking, it's really, in reality, we live in a really screwed up, evil world, and people don't get it. They're just walking around every day saying everything's great, but they don't look behind the scenes. When I was a child, um, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of me, videos of me, recordings of me as a kid, blondish brown hair. And then all of a sudden I turned 10 years old and I got jet black hair and my ears don't look the same. And nobody fucking noticed. The whole world didn't notice, but then people just don't notice and they don't really care deep inside. It's all Papa Razzi, Papa
Yeah.
Grant. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Propaganda.
But
Well,
there
well,
you go.
congratulations on the win, but $900, it
Hey,
better than nothing.
I was I would take a dollar bill out every morning if I had a dollar bill, and I would say, you know what, today's the day. Me and God and
Yeah.
Daddy. Now I'm calling him Daddy, thanks to King. But I would take a dollar bill out of the house, and I would be walking down the street, and I would say, I'm going to turn this dollar bill
Yeah.
into a freaking $1 million today.
Yeah.
So 900 bucks, that's $900 million I could turn it into.
Yeah. I like that attitude a lot. And that's probably why you survived so much of this trauma. You know what I mean? You have a great attitude and you never stopped. And you can't stop, you know?
I can't stop. I really can't.
Yeah.
Um, our last interview, I said I had a near death experience. Um, but yeah, I can't stop.
You can't
Um, God ain't gonna let me stop, and I got to grab onto God's hand, and he's got to walk with me, because yeah, it's crazy, and the devil don't want me. The devil knows I'll take over. So
Well, I think what we were talking about as we started this video is that you've been used as bait. Okay, you're the worm on the hook, dangling,
I
and all the bad guys have been jumping and picking away at you. But guess what they're doing? They're revealing who they are and what their agenda has been.
exactly 100%.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
why they didn't want these videos up. That's why we're suppressed. And I'm not as far out there as you, but I've had a lot of videos taken down as well as you, but other attacks, name calling, all sorts of things. So that's why I'm asking people, first of all, read the book if you can, but have an open mind. Look around at our society. What's happening now? Does that seem right?
a lot of people are so asleep, and they'll just see part of it. Oh well, he doesn't look like John Kennedy, and they'll just dismiss it and leave a Ruka. Well, hello, get a little more in depth in your thought process,
Right.
because I was kidnapped and replaced at 10. Go look at some childhood photos, and women are great at it. They can look at a childhood photo and then look at me, and they're like, yeah, but a lot of people won't bother. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so let's not kind of go over. I know we did try to do the story before. We were disrupted a lot. Let's kind of go over the story if we can again and fill in some of the gaps for people. We've been getting a lot of questions. People need to understand. And what I'd like to do is set a foundation for your story, and then we can go deeper each time that we talk if you like. But
yeah, that's cool.
you
Um,
were born when your dad was already president, maybe 3 months in, and he
isn't
was,
that cool? That's cool.
and so you had a lot of people, Secret Service guys and nannies and blah 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 blah, taking care
Oh,
of you throughout that time. It wasn't a normal home. It wasn't a normal household. You weren't like with your mom and dad exclusively like most babies are, in a
right.
middle income type of home, right?
Right. I
Yeah.
was never, I mean, it was a new day to spend time with my mom and dad. And usually it was for publicity or something. And the nannies, and It was school teacher after school teacher and nanny after nanny. And one thing, the bad things is what screws me up is in my memory and everything as a child, because the bad things always stick out in my memory, not the good things. Oh, once in a while the good things. But one thing I remember is um, one of the maids was actually whisked away because she was trying to poison me as a child.
Oh,
She was the one in charge of making my breakfast, and I remember as a child they grabbed her and whisked her away. As far as the worm on the hook, I was going to say earlier also, um, Wayne would, when you're in my position and people want you dead, it's extremely difficult because you just can't kill someone or take someone's life or throw them in prison or whatever you have to do because you think they want you dead. You actually have to wait for them to kill you. You physically harm you, and it's extremely hard. I know Wayne went out of his way to figure out how we could catch the people before they actually, were pulling the trigger. And I was the bait, and it's extremely hard. And one little thing, we're being a worm on a hook, and I always joke with Wayne about that because I was sitting in the back seat of a car, and Wayne was in the front seat with another fellow, but Wayne had the barrel of his revolver stuck between the headrest. And the minute that man went for his gun and started to point it at me, Wayne took him out right there in the back window of the car and everything. I had blood on the side of my face, but that's the extreme of being a worm on a hook right there. And
wow.
I'll never forget but that's what we had to do to keep alive, stay safe, and do it legally. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
So you've never really had a nice, safe, secure place to live. Like your whole life has been filled with betrayal, talk of murder, people robbing you, beating you, harming you, kidnapping you, whatever. Your
My
entire life,
my whole
really.
life, my
Yeah.
whole entire life. I was moved around every week or every 2 weeks. Jackie was having me moved around. And one thing I'll never forget is they moved an entire bookcase in this one rental house. Um, they figured out where my room was. I was going to sleep, but they moved the bookcase against the wall so the books would stop the bullets. Um, you said kidnapping. My son's mentally disabled, and I think it was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. He got an email from somebody said that he had to pay up, and he's mentally disabled, but he actually got an email from someone saying they were going to kidnap me, his father, if he did not pay him $10,000. So it's still going on to this very day. It's extreme. I mean, you know, some of it is really evil, messed up people to try. He gets $900 himself because um, he's mentally disabled,
Right.
and
Right.
for somebody to want to take his disability check, it's beyond words to me.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the scum of the bottom feeders. I got an idea, just like we were talking about earlier, bring them out of the light. I'm bring them out of the darkness and into the light. Well, that guy that sent him that email might as well be standing in the sunshine.
All right. All right. So let's go back and let the audience know who Wayne is. That's probably the biggest question I received. How did you meet Wayne? And can you kind of like describe him, tell some stories about him, that sort of thing?
It's hard to describe Wayne and make any sense because Wayne didn't even reveal himself to me.
Yeah.
He's been there since I was a child, and he's protected me, like I just said a few minutes ago.
Hmm.
But could I tell you where Wayne lives? No, because he wanted it that way.
Yeah.
Could I tell you what Wayne's real name is? I just know what, Wayne said, if you ever come out, you're going to call me Wayne. I was like, okay. So I'm hoping that he's still alive and he's still looking over my shoulder with his 44, sticking between the cushions of the headrest to protect me.
Right.
Um, was a lot of it good? No. Did Wayne have me tortured? Yes. But it was a good torture because I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
Um, he would ask the members of the family, well, how do we do this? It's kind of like I grew up with Wayne. but he would go to the heads of the families and ask them for advice. Um, and he was told one time, torture will make you forget. Well, see, if Wayne was a double agent and Wayne was working to find out, information about the cabal, and you got to be playing two sides. And if Wayne went to the cabal and said, "Yeah, um, John Kennedy's dead now," just to keep me alive, well, if they found out I was alive, they would have killed Wayne. So it's a lot of two-sided streets. It's a lot of spy versus spy. And for instance, this is a bizarre story, but our Congress was trying to expose, um, what do you call them, terrorists, and we, I say we, um, had a terrorist that was a double agent, and this terrorist was caught and brought in. Well, Wayne grabbed him and had him stuck on a hook. Wayne knew he was one of our good guys, but he still tortured the good guy and put him on a hook with his feet off the ground for torture to get information from this guy. But Wayne knew he was a good guy. So he was doing it to save the guy's life, in other words. They didn't want to say, oh, and pat him on the back when he came in as a terrorist. So Wayne stuck him on a hook. He's hanging up on a hook. He's a terrorist. We're mistreating this guy. So the other terrorists kept believing him. And I believe it came out in some kind of files that he was a double agent. Well, that just killed that man right there. But Wayne was trying to save his life by being mean to him. It doesn't really make sense, but it does. Um, he was being mean, but he was saving the guy's life. So a little punishment for an hour or two hanging on a meat hook with his feet off the ground was saving his life. So the other terrorists were looking at him like, oh man, he's getting it too.
I guess that makes sense, but youch, youch. Now, how did that affect you? So, throughout the book, Wayne's popping in, he's popping out, he's dragging you out of bed, he's showing you bizarre things, you're going to Hollywood, you're doing all this stuff. And it just seems very, like kind of, we'll say all over the map. It's not like, like you said, he wanted to groom you to take over Atlantic City, but then
Yeah.
so there's a lot of stories in this book.
Well, yeah. See, Hollywood runs the show. I was just looking about something on the red carpet before we started chatting, but
Mhm.
Hollywood is a huge part of running the show. The criminal organizations are a big part of running the show. And I thought, when he was taking me around meeting all these people, and Wayne, I can't believe Wayne knew that many people, but he was taking me around to meet all these people. I thought he was making me, call it a mop boss, call it whatever, but I thought he was grooming me to be a mafia don, maybe. I don't know what you want to call it, but I felt I was being groomed for all that. I can't explain it, but that's what I always thought my whole life. I thought I'm going to be the boss someday. And, but no, I kept living in poverty. And, but that's how they work. They don't advertise, and year would go by and year would go by. But yeah, he definitely was grooming me to meet all these people. Maybe it was he was just exposing me to what the real crime ring was all about. But
Okay. Okay. It's just interesting. Like as I read the book, I couldn't decide if I liked him or I didn't like him. Like I kept flip-flopping, and maybe there is a bigger story there than I know, but
you're just like me,
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, yeah.
I love Wayne in my heart, but I'm scared to death of him. I really am. It is weird because Wayne has more power. Wayne is the most powerful man I've ever met.
Okay.
And it's scary. Wayne can kill somebody in broad daylight, have a crew come in, take them away, and never be seen again. And it's that powerful. And the crews he has are unbelievable. But yeah, you don't talk bad about Wayne in front of his face, that's for sure. Like I said, he was the most powerful man. that I've ever known. He scares the shit out of me, but I loved him too.
Okay. Okay. So let's kind of back up a little bit. And I know it's probably hard to talk about your family, but you're just a little boy, and again, when you're 3, you don't have a clue what's happening, and maybe not even until you're 8, 9, 10. But life goes on, so you were kind of going to school. And it sounded like you were flip-flopping, but you were kind of with your mother most of the time for years, and then you basically were taken away. Is that the way it worked?
I was sent all over, like I said, for weeks at a time.
Yeah,
I didn't have a lot of time with my mom. Um, Not a whole lot because I was always traveling around.
yeah,
She was sending me to be trained with artists all over the world, famous artists like Pablo Picasso, Marc Chagall, many, and it was just me as a child. Um, I met Muhammad Ali. She taught me to be a bullfighter. Um, she wanted me, she did. And as a little kid, I had to go throw the thing at the bull, the little arrow thing and make it stick in a bull. She wanted me to learn how to ride horses. So I went to summer camp and they had a horse, on a rope and turn around in a circle. And I would stand on the horse and I'd go sideways on the horse. But yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of time
right, right,
with my mom. And she, Hollywood actors, John Wayne, Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, Dor. uh, Um, there's somebody that's bringing out on TikTok also all the films I had been in, and I explained I was left-handed, and you can surely see that I'm left-handed. I saw pictures of me in the White House where I was actually grabbing something with my left hand. But yeah, I think I was around the age of, I don't know how old I was,
okay,
but yeah, they were actually slapping my left hand when I would reach out for something to hand somebody something with my left. They would hit it, and they would say, "Yeah, use your other hand."
yeah. So they wanted to change your identity. They actually gave you a different name.
They they were all going all the way out to putting lemon juice in my hair to make it sun bleach blonde. They would
Wow.
actually, um, it was the Dorothy Quigley and her mother, and I don't remember when her mother passed away, but yeah, they would take me out and put lemon juice all over and have me stand out in the sun for an hour just to lighten it.
Right. So basically, Wayne put you with this family in California, the Quigley family, and they were your adopted parents. You were to call Dorothy your mother. And right from the get-go, it sounds like you had a tough time there. And
Yeah, somebody had just asked me a question an hour ago on TikTok. They said, "Well, you would have been 15 in Clovis, California." I think I was 14 when we moved from Clovis. But here's a scenario on what we did. Um, the Quigleys lived in Santa Barbara. Actually, it was Goleta, California. I went with them. I think I was around 5 years old when I met them for the first time, and they said, "Call me mom and dad." I think I was about 5. That was Goleta, California. Then the Quigleys moved to Fresno, California, and actually we were homeless. From Goleta to Fresno, we were actually homeless. We were staying in motels, sleeping in the truck or wherever we could at relatives here, there in Fresno. And then they bought a house in Fresno. And then from Fresno, they moved to Clovis, California. And I don't have the time dates of all this, but it went from Fresno. I was going to a grammar school in Fresno, California. We moved to Clovis, California. I went to grammar school in Clovis, California. And then from Clovis, I think I was 14, we moved to Coarse Gold, California, a private community called Yosemite Lakes Park. So that's kind of where I stayed as David Quigley the whole time. And then all those places I was handled, trafficked from there to go to Hollywood or, for weeks at a time, I would be picked up and brought somewhere from all those locations.
right, right. So they basically, like Wayne or somebody would like, an unknown, we'll call them an agent, okay, would like basically wake you up and take you out of bed sometimes and take you away, or a lot of, we'll call it unusual stuff happened at that time.
Right. If
Um,
if they had an emergency to do, or a quick job, they would come get me in the day. Um, but yeah, they work at night. They don't want to be, it's the Secret Service as far as,
Yeah.
they're trying to keep their secrets. There is so many enemies, that are huge. People don't understand the government of the United States is the prize. It's the big prize. You run the government, you own the people, you control every single thing there is about people. So it's a big prize. So yeah, everything is secret and they know it, but there's so many people that want to take that away. It's
Right.
always war, always killings. It's spy versus spy, but yeah, it's
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Quigleys. Like you go to stay there and like it sounds like the conversation in that household was all about robbery and murder, and there was a lot of beatings, there was a lot of torture. There were kids coming and going throughout the household that probably they were young, so they probably were trafficked.
only behind the scenes though.
Ah,
Not for everybody to see. If you met the Quigley family as an ordinary, just hi, how are you doing? You're going to see a family that goes to church every single Sunday, that goes to Bible study during the week. Um, yeah, it's they don't advertise it because they're the best at what they're doing, and a lot of the families are like that. So if you meet the Quigley family, you're like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Um, I saw you in church last. But yeah, they made it a point, you're going to church with us on Sunday, whether you like it or not, but it was all, um, but it even says in the Bible, that's where they're going to hide out in the churches.
so it was basically kind of for show. And of course, there was a lot of like, drugs and all sorts of stuff going on. And you witnessed the family doing all sorts of nefarious stuff. And you witnessed some murders, you witnessed, drug deals. They drugged you all the time. In fact, I think they gave you a daily cocktail. You suspect it was hormones or something to keep you.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody recently, and one of the mental health drugs will actually make you forget.
Yeah.
And they had Dorothy Quigley giving me a vitamin regiment by what they called it. And looking back, yeah, it was so I forgot my life as John Kennedy back then.
Yeah. And like I said, when you're a kid, you believe what the adult or the authority figure tells you. You're innocent. You don't have like the foundation to make a better decision until maybe like
Yeah,
teenage years, really. Yeah,
100%. When you're a child, that's your learning years. That's
yeah,
when adults should be teaching you right from wrong,
right.
and that's why they get them young so they can control them, and they do, and they use them, and
Yeah,
it's sad, and they become, that's their thinking from now on. A lot of it, our educational system has a lot to do with it. You learn what they teach you.
right, right. And I think you really have undergone throughout your whole life, but starting around this point, a lot of psychological torture. So they would tell you one thing and do another, or they would like you'd be kidnapped or taken here or taken there unexpectedly. So there wasn't any stability. So I want to really set the foundation for people to understand this. It wasn't like a normal life and then all of a sudden you changed your name. This was a lot of, unusual stuff happening to a little boy that just was bounced around, tortured, and like I said, kidnapped, all this kind of stuff happening all at once. It was
Yeah,
ongoing.
I was kidnapped more than once, and
Yeah,
like I had mentioned to you, it was for money. Whenever you wonder why, it's for money.
yeah.
But I was kidnapped plenty of times, and I get a lot of comments on TikTok and even Facebook. But how could you do this? They say if you were kidnapped at 9 or 10 years old, and it's like, well, I wasn't dead. Just because you're kidnapped, you don't fall off the face of the earth and you're gone.
Mhm.
No, I had a life. I had to breathe air, and just like everybody else. And those adventures I
Yeah,
had after I was kidnapped, and even kidnapped again, I'm sharing those.
yeah,
So just for the people that ask me that all the time, how could you do that? Well, it's really easy. I had to survive, you know, again somewhere
Right.
else doing something else.
Right. Basically, do you have any idea at this point in your life why your father might have been assassinated? He was going to reveal something, and you gave a story about how he kind of knew that they were going to kill him. He had an inkling.
Yeah,
You're three. All right, so
this is just a conspiracy theory because I was three. I don't have
yeah,
the facts, but
yeah,
by what my knowledge has taught me, he was going to reveal the CIA and the other organizations for the crime syndicate that they are and the
yeah,
power that they are.
mm,
Eisenhower, he took Eisenhower's place. Eisenhower was in World War II also and became president, if you're not familiar with Eisenhower. But my father stepped into Eisenhower's shoes. So I remember as a child meeting Eisenhower. And so Eisenhower had his power. He had the CIA control of all the organized crime's huge, but when you're president of the United States, you have all the connections. So basically, my father stepped into Eisenhower's shoes, and my father said, "This is wrong. I am going to expose it." Well, Eisenhower and all the criminals in our CIA didn't want to hand over the power to my father to do that.
right,
So they simply killed him. And they showed Howard just like they're showing to this day. We can do it, and we can do it in broad daylight. Now, why was my father killed in broad daylight? Because identity theft is so huge. You can kill somebody like the president of the United States. You can give somebody a little plastic surgery, dental work, a little Hollywood lesson, and they're a new president now. So that's why they took him out in the backseat of that car for the whole world to see, just like they did Bobby. For the whole world to see, they took him out because they didn't want a new one coming up. They didn't want to kill my father and have my father replaced and then have to kill him again. So that's why, in my heart, I believe they did it in broad daylight. And
yeah,
it makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it that way,
yeah.
because I know identity theft is huge. It's running this country to this very day, and it scares the hell out of me. I've seen it. I'm trying to wake up people of the fact. And yeah, I get rambling. I'm sorry, Sue.
No, no, no. It's a really good theory because that way they didn't have to come up with a replacement in the public eye. Now, your mom, let's back up a little bit. While you were in the White House, you have already told us that your mom had a double, and the double had her teeth redone and some plastic
I
surgery.
was an I that's not conspiracy there. I was an eyewitness to that.
Mm,
But you don't know as a child when that's happening. You got somebody
yeah,
that looks like your mom and they're getting surgery, somebody that looks like your mom and they're getting dental work, and then next thing you know, she's listening to recordings, trying to talk just like my mom.
yeah,
I didn't have any idea they were gonna kill my mom. I had no idea, but they drove my mom crazy. There's so many things I remember when I was a child. Um, like my father wasn't in good health, but they actually, I had many maids and nannies and everything, but they actually were all training me to put a cushion in my father's rocking chair. And I'll never forget when I saw that rocking chair being hauled out of the White House. But they had me trained to do it over and over again. When
right,
your father gets ready to sit down in a chair, you put a pillow under his ass. So,
yeah,
I was 3 years old running around with a little pillow.
yeah,
But that's one thing I'll never forget. And why did they do that? Maybe it was planned, maybe it just something they were trying to be kind. But yeah, I'll never forget that.
yeah, yeah. Well, um, I guess so. What my point is, so they were already putting a double in for Jackie when you were around and you witnessed that. And again, you're a kid, you don't know any different or any better. How could you? And so that double was out in the public eye all that time. And then when she was murdered, the double basically took over her life, in the
Right. Just
public eye.
stepped right into her shoes.
Right.
And I got married, and that's a whole nother episode. But my wife's grandfather, um, he knew John Gotti because when you're young, you hear people talk. But he knew John Gotti. And one thing I'll never forget him say is, and I don't remember his exact words, but in short, he said, it's like a hermit crab. When the hermit crab dies, you just move right into its shell and become it. And I will never forget that because I wish I would have listened to you because it is so huge. That is how
Yeah.
organized crime makes their
Yeah.
money. If they pick out somebody It's all pre-planned first-degree murder, and they step into their shoes, they become them, they get all their assets, all their power, all their whatever they own instantly. You can become a billionaire with a couple murders, and they do it. I've seen it. I'm a witness to it,
Yeah.
and I'm sharing that to the world because the world needs to know that's how it's done.
Yeah.
Let's expose the cabal and all their evil and how they work, and let's put them under the rocks where they belong.
One of the things that shocked me throughout the book is how even the children, like the doubles, like so again, you suspect your sister was also murdered and replaced, let's say age 10, 12 or so, but she had doubles and all that. But all of these doubles talked about murder all the time. Like these are kids. Boom.
Yeah, well, when they're child trafficked and they're young, it's a norm.
Yeah.
It becomes natural. When people don't understand, it's huge.
Yeah.
If they are taking over a family, they have no problem strapping people to a chair in a room in the middle of the night and having these kids kill them, and that's how they are taught. And once they have them do that, they're done.
Mhm.
They don't want to expose that they had to kill somebody. They don't want to go to prison for the rest of their lives.
Right.
It, but that's the tactics these criminals have, whether it is a gang to whether it is a gang within our FBI or CIA. It's all tactics for power. They want to sit back and have somebody else do their crimes.
Right. Well, that way they have something to, that's why they videotape everything with the kids or whatever. They'll videotape it and then they have proof that that child has committed murder or whatever, which again is mind blowing. Like it's shocking to the average citizen because that's not the way you think people live. I'm hoping.
Yeah,
Nobody I know lives like that.
I've been sharing many stories from 9/11 to Waco to Timothy McVeigh and the Calaveras County murders. And Wayne had me do some things so I wouldn't forget. So maybe I could share them to the world someday. I really don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
Wayne's intentions were, but Calaveras County, Wayne let me be kidnapped. He let me be put in a cell underground in Calaveras County, and he let me witness murders and sit there and hear people screaming while I was locked in a cell. And after that was all done, they came in and they were collecting evidence of all the bodies that had been burned in the yard, and there was many people killed there and many people burned alive. But Wayne put me right on a dirt pile and said, "Your sister's bones are here. Um, you put all the bones you find in this little bag, this little Ziploc bag." So it was all mind games. So I'm digging in the dirt, and I would find a bone, and I was like, "Is this my loved one or not?" I don't know, but it was a horrifying thing. That's another thing of many that was covered up. And people, you can Google it, Calaveras County murders and the underground, and it's all connected, people. If you remember the Chowchilla school bus kidnapping, um, that was right down the street from where we lived. But it's all connected. They're all part of the same cabal. And yeah, but I'm just trying to get my story out.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
yeah.
just get really,
And you know
yeah.
what? All these little stories are helpful. So we're going off topic. It's fine because it's stuff that is or isn't in the book, but it explains it more to us so we understand. Let's talk a little bit about the MK Ultra program. So I forgot what age you were, maybe eight-ish. You're basically the Quigleys took you across the country to Pennsylvania and you had an implant put in your head or a chip, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and it was actually for, I tried to find it again.
Yeah.
I found it once as I was adult. I lived in Pennsylvania and I wanted to find out where they had taken me. And I actually found the place and I researched the place and I tried to find it last year again, just through my memories because I don't take notes. I can't,
Right. Right.
but it was actually, I did the research on it.
Mm.
In World War II, it was a Navy base experimental lab for the Navy and their electronicals, I think this was when they were cloaking things and trying to make battleships disappear and every other. But it was basically a huge. Well, first it was a resort, a hotel resort, and the spring water would heal these people. So in the early 1900s, people would show up there and drink the water, and they were supposed to live forever. But then it became a Navy base during the war, and after that, it became run down, and they turned the top floor into MK Ultra facility.
Mm,
And this ain't a conspiracy theory because I had my work done up there.
yeah. So basically, MK Ultra, they use hypnosis, they use torture. They basically try to break your mind. They do all sorts of crazy things, if you will, to the
Yeah.
child or the person and brainwash them. And there's also keywords or trigger words that they use
Oh
and
yeah.
commands that are implanted into that person's brain or memory, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And a lot of it is to deceive you too.
Yeah.
While you're under MK Ultra. So if you go try to tell your story, you sound like a crazy lunatic. Absolutely crazy. And you're trying to explain it and you're like, that's really what happened. And they're like, go check in at the facility, get the straight jacket put
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And that's part of the plan. That's part they program. But
Yeah.
MK Ultra, the best way to explain it is a deep hypnosis. You know, if you're familiar with hypnosis, you go in, you look at the watch or however they do it, and you're hypnotized. Well, MK Ultra is that twice over. Um, they even said by my research, you can't do anything you wouldn't normally do under hypnosis. You won't do it. Well, the human will do anything. So that's a farce because a human will kill to protect itself and its family. So once you're under this deep hypnosis, if you think your family's in danger, you're going to kill. Um, you know, you're under deep hypnosis. Somebody tells you you're Marilyn Monroe. Instantly, you're Marilyn Monroe. But yeah, it's a deeper hypnosis, and they do it. They can all the way to the extreme of a
Right.
shooting, mass shooting. Like I said, they train these children so they don't have to be there. They don't care about human life, so they can actually MK Ultra someone, have them go rob a bank, um, and get killed robbing the bank just to eliminate them, or whatever they want to do. Once you're under MK Ultra, they can do it, and
Right.
I've seen it. I've lived it. I've been under MK Ultra so many times as a child. You know, them grabbing me in the middle of the night and taking me to crime scenes or wherever. Um, I know you can wake up from MK Ultra. Um, I was under MK Ultra once, and they were torturing a guy in a 55-gallon drum,
Yeah.
or a gal or whoever, but they were actually drowning this person in a 55-gallon drum. And I started fighting them because I was trying to save this person's life that was getting drowned in a drum. And I woke up from this, and I got punished for waking up, but I woke up, thinking plain as day. What the hell are you guys doing? I started punching them and every other thing. I was fighting for this person's life. But anyway, they tackled me ground. They set me in a chair. They tied me to the chair while I was awake. And they stuck bamboo under my fingernails.
Mm.
And the pain is excruciating. It's a torture. But yeah, you get bamboo shoved under your fingernails. But anyway, yeah, I passed back out from the torture. And but yeah, you can wake up, but it's got to be really gruesome to wake up from MK Ultra.
Right. And so MK Ultra is like you're walking around in like a trance. You don't really have clear thought or clear
No,
memory
no,
of what
no,
happened.
no, no. To me, it's just like we are now. I mean, you might feel a little sleepy, but you're every bit of knowledge is going on, unless you're drugged or something. But it's almost like you're living on another life on the other side of your brain. You're thinking, you're talking, you can interact with people, conversations just like we are now, but you're under MK Ultra. So when you go back to sleep, um, you don't remember it anymore. It's like
Right.
um, one side of the brain and the other. So like I'm here with you. I know I'm awake 100%. So I'm thinking that's the part. I don't know how many percent it might be of their brain. Um, it's only a few percent of your whole brain. But under MK Ultra, it's like you're using the other side of your brain. You're still, it's just like day and night, and you're in. It's hard to explain, but
Yeah.
it's like waking up. Is you know.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when I was meeting under all these people under MK Ultra and every other thing, I was aware. I was talking, joking, having fun, laughing, um, being sad, crying. All the emotions and everything are there. It's like real life. Um, but then you switch over to the other side of your head.
Right. Right. It's hard for us to understand that, again, not having gone through it. But you basically get to that state by, like you were shown, pictures, violent pictures, hypnotized, you're drugged, you're tortured, you're beaten, and until you finally are like in your head, I'll do anything to avoid this, and that's when it starts to take hold, right?
Yeah. Well, there
Mm.
was a time, I think it's in my book also. I hated being put under MK Ultra really bad. I was wanting to kill somebody if they came over, trying to stay awake and every other thing so they wouldn't get me. But yeah, I think it's in my book where I actually started beating on a electrical box. It looked like a radio, and I was like, "This is what they're turning on and off to put me under MK Ultra." So yeah, I smashed that thing and demolished that thing. And while I was doing it, Wayne comes up and said, "You owe me again."
Wow, okay. Okay.
Can you excuse me for a second? I got to
Certainly.
take this off and put a t-shirt on. I'm starting to sweat
Okay,
here.
thank you. I'm not going to sever the link because that will turn the video off. So we'll just hang tight for a little bit.
Buy me a t-shirt, would you?
Overall, it's going very well today. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, we gotta get a new chair for there.
What I'll do for the videos, I'll have this cut out, and then I'll put it up under a regular video. So those that watch in the future won't have to wait during this gap. So again, sorry, you guys. But hopefully we're getting a better feel for the childhood that John endured and how disruptive it was and how he couldn't trust anyone. He was betrayed all the time. You can understand how that would mess with your mind. All right. And then to be drugged a lot, to be MK Ultra, his memories are fragmented. So in the book, he tells these snippets of the story, but he doesn't remember every detail of everything, which you can now understand why.
I am back.
All
Sorry for
right.
that,
All right.
but I was sitting here sweating.
Yeah.
And big shout out to King Smarty.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of his shirts. Much love. He showed me so much kindness. I heard you guys talking on an interview, and I started chatting. Next thing I know, I got a box full of goodies, a couple shirts, and some hats and other really cool stuff. So big shout out. He's got a heart of gold. He really does. And Smarties corner.com. Check it
Right.
out. Way
Yep.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
Kept Robin busy for hours learning all about that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so exciting to have Smarty out there, and I'm so honored to talk with him all the time. He just makes everything fun. But his goal is really to help and heal. And he's the one that introduced you to me. And I'm glad to do this. So I'm very excited to do this.
I forgot I didn't have my hand on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. So we were talking about MK Ultra and all that. And what I'd like to do, if we could, is to back up in time again and go back so people understand your stolen identity, your double. All right, so you're just a little boy, you're being bounced around and all of this. And then somehow you meet John, okay. And he kind of eventually, I always call it cowbirding you out. He pushes you out of your nest, okay? So
Exactly.
can you kind of like give an overview of the earlier years when you guys were kids and how that went?
Yeah, well, he switched me out when I'm, I'm just gonna say 10.
Okay.
Um, I said 9 at first, and I got to thinking maybe it was 10, but around 10 years old, he showed up at my school. Um, Everything I did, I was taken somewhere by others, but it was around 10. I was being tortured, abused. If somebody told me to do something, I was doing it because I didn't want to get beat. Every other thing. But they said told me to call him John. I was right there. Me and him were there, and
Mhm.
they told me he was my brother, and I didn't believe it. Um, and I didn't believe it my whole life. And then you think about something because I didn't want to think about anything anyway. But then you get to thinking, it's like he was my brother, but he was my stepfather's son through marriage. So, I mean, that was complicated. But yeah, he showed up at my school. We hung out. Um, he slugged me in the face for calling him John. We were on the island, and I remember Aristotle Onassis had him by the ear once, disciplined him for something. But at that time, they told me he was my brother.
Okay.
So I went with that scenario. Um,
Yeah.
I met with him a few other times. Um, it got to the point later in life he didn't want me to share that I wanted to come out. I would see him and it's like, hey, I'm gonna tell everybody I'm you and you're me. And it got to the point where he wanted to take my life
And how old was he there?
on the island.
Yeah.
We were the same. We were the exact same age.
Okay.
A couple months apart. So yeah, in the 60s, Maria Callas had a child, and I was born, and it was an easy switch for him. But yeah, they had us grow our hair long in the 70s to cover the ears so people wouldn't notice. Um, he went with their program, but he was laundering money to the mafia, to organized crime, just like Caroline Kennedy is doing to this day, um, under control of the mafia. So he went with, I can't blame him from when we were kids. I thought him as my brother. Family's everything you're taught. But as we grew older, he started hating me more because he was living the good life. He had it made in the shade. Um, if but he had it switched because he was the son of Aristotle Onassis. So the mafia was screwing him around also because he had billions. If they would have brought him out and said this is Aristotle's son, he would have been made anyway. Um, but what I have against him is the fact that he wanted to take my life to cover me up to this very day. And I'm sharing it, John. Rest your ass in hell. I'm sharing it.
So basically what happened is around the time of age 10, you're in school doing your thing, and then they introduced this kid, John, is what they were calling him, as your brother, and you're like, that's not my brother, but you go with it, right? And then you see him around, and eventually you were taken out of that school, and he basically just became John, and your name
Well,
was,
everybody's still calling him John, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I still saw him after that, a few times. Um, I don't know. I was told I would be killed.
Yeah.
So, um, I was an emotional wreck. I had government agents saying you can't ever tell your story or they'll kill you. And I look back at it now, and the only thing they were doing was saying that so they could steal money, billions of dollars from me.
Right,
And
right.
they did. They're doing it to this very day. And Wayne showed me, took me places and showed me that they're still doing it to this day. And these people are, they're becoming presidents of the United States and things like that.
I know toward the end of the book, you said that Wayne and you went to the White House and there was boxes full of checks made out to David Quigley, which you'd never received. So, like, why was
Actually,
it?
actually, it was a shoebox. It wasn't like boxes, but
Oh, I
it
thought they
was
were.
it was a it was a shoebox, and it was all issued government checks.
Okay.
But they were all in this box for some reason, and
Yeah.
I don't know why he showed me that, but that was when Bill and Hillary were in office.
Okay. So you were
But
probably like
the
maybe,
Clinton Foundation, and all that, and Clinton's ties to Walmart, it's all huge organized crime,
okay.
and I'm trying to expose it all to the world.
Okay.
Um, yeah, every time somebody goes to Walmart, they're helping support the crime families.
You want to explain that a little bit?
Sam Walton, the same situation with Sam Walton and his family. See, the families gave Sam Walton money. Sam Walton was just a truck driver, just a regular Joe like me or any other truck driver. But the family gave him enough money to start Sam's Club. He had an idea that you walk in and everything's on a pallet. Easy peasy, go in there, fill your cart, make things cheap because you don't have to put it on the shelf and everything. But yeah, he came up with Sam's Club. Well, that started taking off, and they came up with Walmart, and the crime family wanted a Walmart in every town. Well, Hillary Clinton was on the board of Walmart, one of the founders of Walmart, and they basically, by what I remember, they killed Sam Walton's son. They probably killed Sam Walton, but anyway, that was the start of Walmart, and now there's one in every single city, and it was built on murder and theft.
Right. I've heard that the floors of Walmart, like you take the floor up and there's tunnels under where there it's hollow, and that's where a lot of the trafficking occurs as well. And we've also seen recently where on their website, if you know what you're doing, you can basically order a child that way. Just like,
Well,
the
here's
Wayfair
my here's
thing.
my personal. I don't think this is in my book. I don't think it'll be in any book. But my personal experience was before they would pour a foundation. Well, first thing they would do is own the land and acquire the land to put your Walmart in your town any which way they can.
Hmm.
Any which way they can, they get your land to build that Walmart. But when they're getting ready to pour the foundation of the store, I've dug plenty of holes. And I when I'd be under MK Ultra and I would be digging and I would dig a hole. And Wayne would throw a canister in there, maybe a dead body, something of evidence. That's the way he explained it. But I dug a lot of holes in the floors of Walmart. So there's dead bodies. And one true story, I had dug a hole in a Walmart, and they put their whatever they put in that hole, they came in and poured the cement. Well, Barack Obama stood on that very spot where that dead body was and addressed the whole country from a Walmart right on top of the body. And how do I know this? Because Wayne told me to go whisper in his ear that he is standing on a dead body while he is giving his speech. Truth.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
So, yeah, there's a lot of evidence under the floors of Walmart. So, people, when you go shopping at Walmart and you hear them dead people screaming from the floor, buy all that stuff. Support the devil.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the problem is no one has any money anymore, of course. And Walmart's kind of got the cheapest everything, food included. So everyone goes to Walmart. And
Yeah, I
and
even go there.
yeah, it's
I
close to
tried,
cable,
I
kind
tried
of.
to switch. I had my pharmacy at Walmart, and I was like, I can't support this place every other day.
Mm.
So I did switch, but I don't like to go there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I lost my train of thought with
Yeah.
Walmart and
So
all this.
we're going to go back in time again. And
I
let's,
just lit the wrong end of a cigarette, man. I hate doing that.
let's,
Trying to pay attention to you and talk. I think all these stories and everything, and I'm trying to. Yeah.
yeah. All right, so we're going to go back to John again. So age 10, he appears at the school. You're kind of like, little boys. You're both probably undergoing like training. Like he basically takes over your life or what your life might have been. Although he becomes a lawyer. He's of course good looking. He's on the cover of every magazine. He's living the good life, right? And eventually he and his wife, Carolyn, I'm sorry, um, basically sell off your family's heirlooms. Okay, so they auction pretty much everything off, it sounds like.
Yeah, and with that said, all the crime families stick together.
Yeah.
He married right into another crime family. So yeah, it was two criminals, and 100%, I believe he died for killing his fake mom, Jackie.
Oh.
It was a mafia hit. Me and Wayne went to her apartment, and we were standing in the kitchen, and she was trembling. This must have been, I don't know, early 1990s. But she said she believed that the children had poisoned her at dinner one night. She became deathly ill. They called it cancer, but she confessed to Wayne she thought that children had poisoned her. I'd been poisoned many times myself. They love poison. It's an easy, sneaky way. Um, Somebody, oh, you got cancer, but poison, yes. Um, so Wayne knew, he got it firsthand that the children, and who was the children? John, Caroline, his new wife, this. So anyway, that's why there was a quarter found in the hydraulic line. That's why the main reason, it wasn't because he was running for president, but it's all the same crime ring.
Right.
So if he did kill his mom just for the inheritance money and the millions of dollars he made killing her, it still pissed a lot of people off because you don't take out another member of the family. So you got John's mom, my fake mom, the one that went through the plastic surgery and the dental work and all that to become her. And you got John that knows she's not even his mother. So he kills her. And she was huge. I mean, she was lovers with Bill Clinton. It pissed a lot of the crime family members off. You don't do that. It's a death sentence. And he did it. He pissed Wayne off. He pissed a lot of people off. And it was definitely, you're going down in the ocean, dude.
Okay. So he's probably like roughly 30-ish when this happens. And of course, you're 30-ish. And so he basically kills, we'll call her the double, your fake mother, his fake mother. All right. And it was poison. Okay. And then basically, you kind of knew something was up. You had a red flag feeling, but they were trying to get you to go in 1999 to a wedding where they were going to fly, and you
Their
didn't want to
plans,
go.
their plans, they already had it set up to kill me at that wedding. It's all pre-planned murder.
Yeah,
But yeah, they were taking, he wanted me dead. He didn't want me to reveal. There was more money behind the scenes. I don't know how much, what my loved ones left me in whatever, but there
yeah,
was a lot of money involved, and he and his wife wanted me dead. So they planned my murder at the wedding. The people at the wedding were in on it also. There's so many criminals out there. There really, really is a lot of criminals. Yeah, so that was their plan. They were taking me to the wedding to have me killed at the
right,
wedding.
right,
Now I'm gone,
right.
but I'm not gone. They're gone.
So basically, what happened is you did get in the plane. The plane was going down. You did luckily grab a life jacket, but you were
Oh
in the
yeah,
plane
that's the
that
first
crashed.
thing that went. That's the first thing. I've been through so much crazy shit, so much training. Um,
Yeah,
when something bad's going to happen, that's the first thing I do is think of saving my ass.
yeah,
So the minute he said he could not steer the plane, I was under the seat. I was grabbing for that life preserver. I
right.
was getting ready to freaking die. Um, I even, while they were arguing, I had my shoulder braced up behind the back seat, getting ready to freaking crash. Um, yeah, when I don't want to admit all the things I've survived,
Mm.
because I don't want to sound like Superman to anyone. it's all very painful, and recovery sucked. But yeah, even with my brother and his plane crash, when my stepbrother Alexander was shot in the head, I can't get it out of my mind. I don't even like bringing it up because it sticks. I got that picture of that guy in the passenger seat with that. I've even looked it up. I got the making, just from the memory of me being 13 years old. Not that I write anything down, but I could look it up again. But yeah, I wrote down the make and what gun it was, and I researched it. It was like a World War I gun that killed my brother. Um, but it's still fresh in my mind like it was yesterday. And that was 60, no, 50 years ago. It's funny how that stuff stay. But yeah, we were getting ready to crash. The plane was going down, and I know I put my fingers through the upholstery in the seats. I ended up breaking my arm. I found a picture of me actually in a cast on Aristotle's Island, where I have a cast in my arm. Somebody was a paparazzi was taking pictures of me talking to my sister. She was in mourning. My sister Christina was on the island, and she wouldn't speak. Maybe it was a fake. Maybe they had already replaced her. But she was sitting on the table and she wouldn't talk because her brother just died. And I was like, "Come on, sister, um, don't just sit here and mourn for days and days. Let's talk, and let's go swimming or something." But yeah, I clawed the seats. I was getting ready to die. I was, I and I didn't even have to think about it, but the plane was going down, and automatically I was thinking, if I can get up when we hit, I won't absorb the impact. So I'm trying to fly while the plane's crashing, and maybe that helped save my life. I don't know, but it's almost like animal instincts. I'm gonna live no matter what.
Well, it sounds like, throughout the book, okay, you've been, beaten, like like they've tried to kill you. I was gonna actually go through and start counting the times you mentioned. So many times. So many times. Again, not a normal life, I think, but you've survived each time. And I mean, it's not been easy, but each time you get a little smarter, your intuition is increased, like you knew something was going on that time, so you can prepare. But they weren't expecting to be sabotaged in that plane.
Yeah, there was so many attempts on my life, and I call it God. I really do. That gives me the instincts of survival. One time I had a little camper trailer, just a little camper trailer on the Quigley's property, and there was some brush off on the corner. There was some barbed wire fences to keep the horses in and whatever. But something told me just get a little tent and go hide in the bushes. So I went there and I had my pump shotgun, and I'm sleeping in the bushes, night after night. And one night I heard some voices whispering, and these two guys were coming through the barbed wire fence. And I'm like, okay, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and these guys are coming on the property through a barbed wire fence. And then I seen they had weapons, and they were actually sneaking over to where my trailer was. So I cocked the shotgun so they could hear it, and I pointed it right at them, and I said something like, "Is today a good day for you guys to die?" And they immediately turned around and went back through the fence. So was it an actual attempt on my life? Were they coming to steal something out of the yard or whatever? I don't know. Um,
Mm.
but there, to me, it was a definite attempt on my life. They had weapons, and they were on the property. So I don't think that was in my book, but that's just one
No.
instance of many.
Well, the fact that you knew enough you were smart enough to sleep in the bushes or whatever that night. But you said last time we talked, you would rent a hotel room or a motel room, but you would sleep in your truck or whatever because you had a feeling someone was going to come after you. And it pretty much always panned out, didn't
Well,
it?
Wayne taught me that too.
Yeah.
Because organized crime runs the motels. Not all of them, probably. I wouldn't guess all of them, but they have their, you get a town, they have the motels, and they run them. But Wayne taught me one day, he was like, go check into the motel. You check into the motel, and he's like, but you're just checking in. You're not sleeping there. You're not there. And he said also, don't give him the key. Don't return the key. So you don't get your deposit or whatever back. But he's like, just go in, check in, grab the key, and sneak out quietly and don't ever return. So why I don't, but anyway, that kind of mentality to stay safe and stay alive, just to fool people on your location and where you're going to be, it's a big hindrance to people that want you killed and plan your
Yeah.
death.
Yeah. Again, something probably the regular people don't do or know about, or wouldn't even think to do. They're not in your situation, but you just had the instinct to do that. And
Yeah, it's like everybody wants you dead, and you got to stay alive and do whatever you can to
mm,
stay alive.
yeah,
And yeah, don't stay in one place too long. And if you are in one place, you better be trying to be that worm on that hook and catch some bad guys.
yeah, yeah. So basically, they found out that John's the other John, the public John, who we think his real name was George, by the way, but his plane was sabotaged with a quarter in the steering thing
I
mechanism.
believe it was a hydraulic one. I'm not
Yeah,
definite on that.
yeah,
Um, I'm just, the man came up and handed Wayne that quarter and said, this is what caused it was put in the steering mechanism. So I'm just guessing it was stuck in the hydraulic line. And when the pressure got enough, the quarter plugged the hole. And once it clogged the hole, the plane wouldn't steer which way you wanted it to go. But I'm just guessing. I'm pretty mechanically inclined when it comes to stuff like that.
yeah,
But there was a quarter placed somewhere in the steering mechanism, and it was a sign that to let everybody else know, and all John's soldiers, because John was building up to be the next John Gotti. He had soldiers, I'm sure. He was building up to have a crew and take over New York and the New York Mafia and every other thing. But it was a definite sign to these other people he was killed and he fucked up, and you better get the point that we
right,
took him out.
right. But it sounds like they were really trying to take all of you included, out in that plane. Again, that's why it was that that they were going to kill you at the wedding or whatever, but they were trying to
Yeah,
everyone in that plane.
that's hard to say because if they wanted me dead, they would have left me in the water.
Yeah. Let's talk about
I was in when they picked me up. I'm pretty sure it was a Coast Guard ship or a Navy ship or something of that effect. But when they picked me up, I was already in shock. Um, I don't remember much. I remember being in that water on those high waves um, for so long, thinking I was going to die, thinking a shark was going to get me. I went into shock. But if if they wanted me, it all depends who they and because there's so many different organizations. But I would have been dead. So somebody wanted me alive, and my guess is it was Wayne and God, Daddy.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, Carol Lynn, John's wife, is the other John. I don't want to offend you by, the one posing as you you said in your book that you believe she was a man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, the people in their organized crime, they teach him to be gay um at a young age. The sexual shit I had to do is unspeakable. Um, it's torture, but it happens. But yeah, the gay thing in Hollywood and Washington is huge. There's a lot of money in it. Um, but yeah, I believe he was gay. Um, Even this lady that I know, I'm not going to say any names, um, was like, wow, he's a handsome guy. but he's gay, like I don't have a chance. But yeah,
Right. Well, we're seeing evidence now, and again, it's really coming out of almost every entertainer, politician is transgender, cross-dressing, gay, whatever. And, again, it doesn't seem like a natural,
it's
um,
the cult, it's the satanic cult,
yeah,
ritual of deception and the power of deception and going against what God's morals are. It's like anything like that is a plus for the secret societies that are worshiping Satan. They get off on killing and every other bad thing, killing, stealing, destroying, and they think it's powerful to them. Um, yeah, it's just them showing that they belong to the cabal and the crime ring.
right. That's kind of what I was wanting to point out. Like it's, again, an instance here and there, but do you notice how like every, basically famous celebrity nowadays is gay, transgender. There's something unusual or
Oh
flip
yeah, and it's
about
all
them.
I've seen it my whole life. It's all open sex, Hollywood couples sharing, wife swapping, all that kind of orgies. But yeah, that kind of stuff went on Aristotle Onassis' yacht and his island. Um, the Quigleys brought me to Aristotle's yacht one time, and I came aboard, and my mother was not there, but his mistress was there. And when they would have, and I'm talking famous people, you all can Google the Christina, the ship, the Christina. I think it's the Christina too now, but yeah, the ship, the Christina, it's in Greece, and I believe in a port, and it's got pictures of every famous person from back in the day was on that. But I would get sent to my cabin um, when people started taking their clothes off because it was all about open sex and parties, and that's just the way it is in Hollywood.
Okay.
And you had to do it to become a Hollywood star. That is just part of it.
Right.
I don't know if I said earlier on the show last time, but yeah, to become famous, you have to do those things or you will not become famous. It's just part of the rules. You have a certain percentage that you are paying up to become famous. It's almost like we're going to make you a movie star, but you're only going to make so much money. And if you don't like the deal, then you're not going to become a movie star. But if you like the deal and you go along with the sex and you go along with what we tell you, you're going to be famous. So you
Right.
have two options. You're either famous or you're not famous. And when you become famous, if you don't go with their programs anymore, you are simply eliminated because a famous person is worth more dead than alive. So it's a catch 22 to these people in Hollywood and all these famous
Right.
people.
And they do the same things to these Hollywood celebrities or political celebrities. They basically will murder them and put a double in their place, as we should be very well aware of now. Like it shocks me when people don't realize this, but so that's
There's
something.
so much evidence of all these famous people and people running our country. I mean, you take a picture of their ears and then you go back 10 years and the ears don't match. And then you look at their signature and then you look at their signature from 10 years later and they're not even close. Um, there's so many ways to expose these people, but it's so huge. And my lions, my team of lions, and these people are researching all this, digging up so much dirt and putting it out there. I'm loving every bit of it. Um, it's a struggle for me. It's been a struggle. I've had, this last 6 months with all the love and support from Robin and Smarty, and I could name all these names of these people. Christmas was my best Christmas ever. I had a stack of Christmas cards, and it was like the Christmases before. I would sit in a truck with tears in my eyes, going, "This is really messed up." I'm in a city that I don't live in. I'm sitting in a truck. There's no tree. There's no nothing. My Christmas dinner is at Denny's. Getting turkey and mashed potatoes. Very lonely life being a truck driver and switching all the jobs. I had to very lonely, very,
Right,
very lonely life. So
right.
this last 6 months, man, um, with the followers I'm getting and the support I'm getting and people actually waking up to the truth, it's totally awesome. Totally awesome.
It's only going to go up from here.
Yeah.
It's only
Like you
going
were
to go
saying
up.
earlier, do I want to be famous? And I want to be famous, but I don't want to be in the spotlight. I would rather be I haven't been fishing in years and years, but I'd rather be in a cabin out in the woods with my loved one and fishing and just
Right.
saying, yeah, I'm famous now.
You'd rather have a normal life without the fear, like always having to look over your shoulder and worry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
And
I remember Farrah Fawcett. I had a crush on Farrah Fawcett. I had Farrah Fawcett's poster on my wall. Um, she was mixed up with the cabal and organized crime and all that. And me and her were sitting in a living room, and I was like, "Wow, I'm sitting with Farrah Fawcett, and how good is that?" But she said, just like I've always said, all I wanted was a little house, a white picket fence, and a place to call home with family and loved ones. And being the position she was put in to be a star and be famous, she couldn't do it. And that's what she told me. That's all she wanted to do. And I was like, that's all I've ever wanted to do too. And that's all I want now. I just want a little house with a white picket fence. No, but I'm hoping to get it. I really am. I'm hoping to get it. And maybe I'll sell 1 million books and be able to buy my first house because there'd been my guess is a good 100 houses stolen from my family, and these weren't just little houses; these were mansions on the coast, on every coast. Mansions with fancy things that you sell one vase or something. It's probably more money than I've seen in the last 10 years.
yeah, so basically, when you put the Aristotle Onassis family together with the Kennedy family, there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of stuff and artifacts and, like you said, houses, and everybody's like glomming on. They want a piece of that pie. And so they're not doing it in a wholesome way. They're killing, they're murdering, and then they're taking the people's identity. And like you said, they take over and then if they die, they leave the money or they take the money, they spend it, they put it in different accounts, whatever they're doing. So it's all about greed, control, power. Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a personal eyewitness to all that.
Right.
It's crazy. When I was young and I was asked to do a murder, um, it was the time John Gotti did a lot of killing. He really did. They used him a lot, but yeah, I was asked to kill somebody, and I believe it was another family member that was there. And I said, you know what? I would rather be broke. I'd rather be homeless. I'd rather be barefooted walking through the woods before I would even want to take someone else's life. It's just possessions,
Right. Right.
and that might have hurt my career when I told them that of being in their clique, but it turned. I've had to live a life of poverty my whole life like that
Yeah.
anyway. Um, I don't think the riches would have made me happy. I don't think a lot of these people that have all those riches are happy. I really don't.
Totally not. It's only stuff. You know what I mean? Material, like there's more to our life than the material world that we experience. I mean, that's part of it. We all want, the stuff, but there's way more to it. And loving
Yeah.
relationships are really a big foundation of that, and you really didn't have a lot of that in your life. And it's very, very sad what you went through.
Well, I
Um,
have been on my deathbed more than once, and that's the first thing that comes to your mind. You're going out with nothing.
yeah.
You're leaving with nothing. Health is everything. Um, yeah. With that said, King Smarties, smartiescorner.com. Check it out. I'm feeling good.
Little commercial there, Smarty.
I
I
was sitting here,
think,
I was sitting here talking, and I still don't I don't research this stuff or look into this stuff. But Robin has been placing this kind of stuff all over, doing her little research. I told her she was a little kid the other day because she put stickers all over everything. I'm like, you're acting like a little kid. Next thing we're gonna have, little stickers of Donald Duck on the refrigerator. but but yeah, truthfully, I feel better. I feel good.
It brings the vibration up in your home. Okay, so protective vibration as well as healing vibration. And I know last time we had talked, you had some illnesses, and I kind of missed that because of the glitchiness of the video, to be honest. But you said you were like you were feeling better and you were getting like
Uh,
clean bills of health from the doctor. So having those products in your house cannot hurt. It's bringing
right. No,
and healing you.
Smarty said don't admit on it that I'm ill. But yeah, all kinds of
Yeah.
ailments. I actually, and I was just thinking that I got a metal pipe in my heart because my basically my heart exploded out the side of my heart. So they clogged it up with a little metal pipe so the blood wouldn't go outside of my heart anymore. By what I understand, I'm not no heart surgeon or anything. So they put a pipe in my heart, and that was 2 years ago. But I was just thinking, Smarty, look at that design. What if that design was put on that little pipe in my heart?
Ooh.
That kind of stuff. They put metal pins in your butt. What if that was, you
Yeah.
know, it was just an idea.
But consider it a bigger picture. What if you had these products around your home and you never experienced the illness or injury and didn't need to have anything done to your heart in the first place?
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
better
But
scenario.
I met Smarty too late. So
Hey, no, 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 because you're already healing from what you had. And you know, sometimes it takes a while for us to experience it, but you're going to be noticing massive healing very soon. So that's why these products are so amazing, you know.
yeah, I was trying to do interviews um a month ago. But yeah, I had mass infection going on, urinary tract infection. See what they did when they put that pipe in my heart, they went through my leg, my inner thigh,
Mhm.
and I got a really bad ass infection. I think it might have had something to do with that. Really bad. It was
Yeah,
all swell, but I couldn't sit. And then so I couldn't sit. It was very painful. And then the urinary tract infection, it felt like I had to pee 24 hours. I was up for
yeah,
I think three
yeah.
or 4 days with no sleep because it was so painful. And nowadays they won't give me any pain medicine. Um, I ended up going to the doctor and they lanced my butt and sucked that stuff out. But they don't even believe in giving you pain medicine to kill the pain before they lance you. Um,
But the
so
more you talk about injury and illness, the more you think about it, the more it manifests in your life. That's
right,
what Smarty's trying to say is it's over, baby. So don't
it,
don't think about that stuff. You are
yeah,
healing, okay? So don't think about what happened then. That's the old you, okay? From this point
yeah.
forward, we've got the new you, okay?
But yeah,
You're
with all
the
that said, I'm feeling good.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you're the new you. You're feeling better. Your life is getting better. You're going to be happier. It's going to get better, 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 better all the time. Now it might be subtle or it might be massive. It doesn't matter. It's going to get better. How can you beat that?
You can't. And
Yeah.
if it'll give me another day on this earth to share my truth to the world,
Right.
because the world really needs to wake up. If
Yeah.
I can help save one life of exposing these people of their child trafficking
Yeah.
and what they do to become them, if I can
Yeah.
just save one life, that extra day is well worth it and well worth it to me.
Yeah.
Like I said in our last thing, that near death experience, it don't hurt to go. It don't. It's really peaceful. Um, but yeah, that was my experience. So,
That's the
um,
old you. So we're not talking about that, remember?
yeah, excuse me.
Don't
Hey, Robin, can you make me something to drink or get me dump some coffee in here or something, please? Thank you.
That is true. Whenever somebody tries to tell me about injury or illness, I don't care where we are. I let them start, but I kind of interrupt them and distract them because guess what that does? It anchors that fear. It anchors that energy into your field. You don't want that. You don't want it. All right. It's temporary. All right. So let's go back to the story while you're waiting for whatever.
I'm
Okay.
having it delivered.
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about the person everyone on earth thinks was you. Okay. He took over around age 10. He died in the plane crash. You actually saw the body after the plane crash in a warehouse. Is that correct?
Right.
And the body was bloated and, kind of disfigured. So did he look like he was on the magazine cover? No. But you
No.
believe it was him. Wayne told you it was him. Okay.
Right.
All right. None of the other bodies were recovered.
I'm sure they must have been. I don't know. I never even bothered to check it out.
Okay. All right. All right. So I know we talked about this last time and I'm
Yeah, they
so
were. A matter of fact, I read an article. Excuse me.
okay.
Like I said, the sister went back to save her sister. She was found out of the. Or wait, maybe that's what I remember. Anyway, maybe it's the article I read. Maybe it's what I remember. The sister that went back to try to save her sister was found out of the plane and not in the plane. But then government agents put her in the plane. Now, that's my story by what I remember. Or did I read it in an article or is it real life? I don't know. I can't remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did find the bodies.
Okay. So now you're pulled up on the rescue ship or the Coast Guard ship or whatever, and you said the captain was really agitated, and he had been told basically to throw you back overboard, and he didn't want to do it.
Right. I was in shock. I don't even remember much, but I was, you know, I was in shock. You're not even aware of, but I remember the captain walking back and maybe it was Wayne telling me after that, yeah, he had orders from Bill Clinton to throw me back in the ocean because Wayne purposely took me to the White House. And yeah, it was the White House. And Bill Clinton showed up on his helicopter with his daughter, Chelsea, yeah. Um, and Hillary. But Bill Clinton walked up to the podium and said, yeah, John is dead. We found his body. But he purposely took me there so I could witness Bill Clinton saying that. And Bill Clinton saw me standing there. So it was almost like Wayne put me there so Bill Clinton could see that I was still freaking alive, even after he ordered to have me killed too.
Yeah. See, I like that about
Thank
Wayne.
you.
I like that because it's ballsy and fun, But some of the things he did I don't like. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I like him or not. Um now we talked last whenever we talked about your sister and you weren't really close with your sister. You kind of lost touch with her and you don't really know when she made her demise, but you think it was around age 10 or 12, and she had doubles, many, many doubles, and they were
Yeah.
kind of nasty girls to you. Like they were not like even,
Yeah, it wasn't the friendly thing.
yeah,
Um, I would, if they came back from a vacation and I met them, it's like they didn't want to talk to me. Um, it was like go away type of thing. Um, it's all crazy, but
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
the bond and the relationship of family was gone. That's
yeah,
why I think the real one has already been gone.
yeah,
Um, I don't know, but the spans in my life from seeing my loved ones were so drawn out weeks at a time. Is it's like meeting a stranger. Um, you walk into McDonald's a couple times a week and you see somebody that walks in and you saw them, 2 times you were there before. You know them, you've seen them before. It's kind of like the same thing. You don't know them, you don't know anything about them. It's like, hey, I got my hamburger the same place you did.
yeah, yeah. So there was no bond there. So you really don't know, her story, if you will. Um, and then we talked about 1975 in your chapter was a big one. And you went through a lot of trauma in that year. You were living in Arizona at the time. Aristotle and your mom slash double were married. And So they were like trying to live somewhere safe. It sounds like they were trying to start a new life.
They were right in the middle of a big mob war, and we were put right in the middle of it. I think they came here to Arizona because they thought it was a safe hideout for them to
Yeah,
survive in the mob war. It wasn't. I think Aristotle might have thought he had more power within the mob than he did, and found out that he didn't. Um, Crazy stuff in '75.
yeah,
Crazy stuff.
yeah. And can you tell the story of his demise again? As you know, we talked last time, but I want to tell it clearly here because last time was so horrible. And then we'll never talk about it again, maybe. I don't want to commit to that, but
I'll probably tell it 100 times.
yeah, yeah,
But I was a child. I was going through trauma. It's the best of my recognition. Um, we were always told to do. I was always told by I call them government agents, um, mob, whatever you want to call them. We were always told what to do. I was always taken by someone else. I was young,
yeah,
but we were at a cabin house that Aristotle had bought and to purchase to hide out with my mom. My mom wasn't there, but I grabbed a gold pan, um, and I went because I was told that there was gold in this ravine, and I was a kid. I'm like, I'm gonna go explore. So I went into this ravine where I was told there was gold. I was digging in the rocks trying to find a piece of gold. A whole group of kids walked up with a video camera, and I was like, okay, what are you guys doing here? And the older kid, he was probably an older teenager, was with a group of kids. I don't remember exactly how many kids. I'm thinking five or six kids were with this older teenager, and they had a video camera. It was a nice video camera, and they stumbled upon me looking for gold, and they said, "Oh, we're gonna go make a movie." And I was like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, we're from Hollywood. We came up here to the desert, and I think he said we always come up here." But he was like, "We're gonna make a movie with my movie camera," and I think I even said, "Well, can I come?" And they were like, "No, you can't come with us." So I continued to look for my little gold in the ravine. They walked off, and when it got time, I was like, "I'm going to come home now." I got home. There was a couple government agents there. There was a bloody body under a sheet. They were explaining how these kids and these people axed him up with an axe. They had the axe there. The sheet was all bloody. I wanted to see who was under it. If it was my stepfather, I like to, even at that age, I wanted to see what the hell was going on. They wouldn't let me see it. They kept me back. I believe there was three agents there, but they were talking about how they were killed. I mean, how Aristotle was killed. Um, and after that, um, I remember Jackie didn't want to go to that cabin or that house ever again, ever. She was in fear for her. She just lost her husband.
right,
Um, but then shortly after that, she lost her life too.
right.
So 75 was a bad year, but that's what took Aristotle's life. Was it Aristotle? I was a kid. I was out playing. I wasn't in the house or in the yard when he was killed. I don't know if it was the double, if it was somebody pretending to be Aristotle, if Aristotle faked his death. What actually happened? I don't know, but those kids beat somebody up that day with an axe, and that's how they do it. And it was all videotaped, I'm sure. Um,
Right.
yeah,
So these kids who were later to become Hollywood actors and actresses basically killed someone and videotaped it. So that's how they
and
have, blackmail evidence on those people.
and I'm pretty sure a lot of those children that were there were on Epstein's flight list.
Mm-mm.
I saw a couple of names, and that were on his list. I haven't even looked at it, but it's just internet crap that pops up. This
Mhm.
Oprah and all these other people were on that list,
Yeah,
and it goes back to the same crime ring at the top. It's the top of Hollywood crime ring. It's the top of government crime ring. And that is exactly how they get all these kids in their pockets and make them stars. is by swinging an axe when you're a kid.
Right, right. So you're not sure if he was a double Aristotle or if he was the original. And I guess at this exact moment, it doesn't matter, but that had to be extremely traumatic for you. And especially
The
when you,
day
yeah, go ahead.
the day after or 2 days after that my mom was killed, that was the worst day of my life to this very day. It doesn't get like I said, I got sent back to the Quigleys after being kidnapped and thought I was going to die and watching my mother die, and brought back to the Quigleys. I don't know where I got it from, but I got out of the car. I was crying, hysterically crying. I was literally putting probably horse shit on my head in tears. I was on my knees with my head on the ground, and I was like, it doesn't get any worse. All I could think of was I want to kill. I want justice. I want to get even. But that day in 1975, I don't know the exact day or anything, but I was it was the worst day of my life, and it can't get any worse. It just can't. It really can't.
I don't know who could go through all these, scenes that you've painted for us, but to see to know that your mom's been murdered, like, 50 feet from where you are.
Well,
And
I go back to her location where she was killed. Um, I do things because I don't like to be, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go put a candle on where she was killed on Christmas every year because then they'll know I'll be there for Christmas. So I don't risk my life like that, but
oh,
I go by there. But one of the worst things when I go by there is I don't know what these animals did to her body. The last time I saw her, she was laying in a puddle of blood with blood just pouring out of her from being shot. And I remember a white pickup truck pulling in um, right where she was shot, probably to throw her in there real quick. But I was being taken away with a gun to my head in that station wagon with another little girl. And it really bugs the shit out of me emotionally what they did with her body. Um, is it buried on that location? Is it buried where I was camping, where we had the camper, where that chain link is, where that big Navy cross, Navy anchors put in the ground? I don't know, but usually after they do crimes, they tear that shit down. And in the back was like a big warehouse at one time to park. I believe it was forestry vehicles, government vehicles to park them there. Mine, I always thought, mining equipment in there, but it's all gone. And that's usually how they operate when they do a major crime like that. But then they built the Arizona Memorial right there where she was killed. It's almost like a big fuck you when they do things because they're so powerful and evil. They like to commit one of the biggest murders in history, the former first lady, and then show it off with a memorial. Put the American flags right there where she was killed, and make it a monument. Um, it's funny how they were, but you see it and you once you it clicks and you're awake and say, hey, Jackie Kennedy was killed here. And right here they put a big memorial, like they're showing it off. They got away with killing the first lady and they got away with it and they stole billions of dollars.
yeah. How they treated your mom was unforgivable. And just listening to this now, it almost feels like the little girl might have had something to do with this. Maybe she was coerced. Like in both murders, do you notice how soon the agents were right on the scene, right? Little bit
Yeah.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot I don't have the answers to a lot.
Yeah.
It would probably drive me absolutely mentally crazy if I sat there day after day trying to figure it out because I've already done that when I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
young, night after night trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. So, it's all happened and
Yeah.
I want justice, but I'm not going to dwell on all the
Yeah. You
little
really, you really are doing the right thing by bringing the story out, but it's like the American public will go crazy when they know the facts. Like your parents were so well loved. And of course, there was a story woven about them, but then the public was purposefully
Yeah.
tricked.
I am doing my best to inform the public on it, but
Yeah,
there's so many enemies out there that run the show right now that are hindering me, hindering you, hindering everybody of getting the
yeah,
truth out because
yeah,
they don't want to give up their power.
yeah,
They want to keep the organized crime in power. Um, it's kind of
yeah,
like the guy dealing heroin to get rich. He wants to get everybody on their junk, so they got to keep coming back. And if they don't come back, they turn them into prostitute. It's an endless cycle like that, and they don't want to give it up.
right.
And helping share my story and get my story out will expose these people for
Mm,
being the criminals that they are and what they do. And it means a lot to me. It's not going to be easy. It's been a struggle. Um, for what, the last 7 years I've been trying to share it, and every time it's a hindrance. But it's coming out. It is coming out, and it's coming out now.
mm,
I
mm,
wish it would just blow up and
yeah.
it would just come out right away, but it keeps trickling out. But me and you are going to do it today, right?
That's right. And so I'm going to edit this and I'll put it up on the channel today, but I'd like to ask the viewers to share this story around. So the story of JFK Jr., what was done to him and how he had to live is made public. So I would like that shared if possible. And I mean, there's so much more to your story. We talked a little bit last week, but you had said in your book you've witnessed over 80 murders, and then you lost track. Like that is insane, insane. It's not the way a typical person should live. You know, most families don't go around talking about robbery and murder all the time.
Well, if you count the ones I know about, that was way back when.
Yeah.
But the murders that I personally know about done by government with mass shootings, 9/11, Waco, Reverend Jim Jones and his cult followers. You piss these people are so powerful. Just like Reverend Jim Jones, he wouldn't pay up. He didn't want to go with their program. When a senator, I believe it was a senator, um, from California, confronted him, he killed that senator. Um, that one killing got his whole cult killed. Just
Oh,
that one, you kill one of our family members, you all die, and that was, things like that. You're talking thousands of people that this has affected. Las Vegas, all of it. Some of it is my call it conspiracy theory, but I have learned how they operate. So, like Las Vegas, yeah, with just the FBI not giving the answers and just sitting back and watching all the money that changed hands because of the Las Vegas shooting. Um, you know, it breaks my heart when I hear people say Vegas strong. I just wanted to reply Vegas weak because you did not get an answer. You should have been told by the FBI why that man was sitting in there killing people. You should have had the truthful answers and you didn't get them. So you're Vegas weak. So stand up, get some answers. And it's MK Ultra, it's pre-programming. But what was the real goal for that man to? Maybe it was the millions and millions of dollars that MGM lost for renting that man a room. Maybe it was the switch over from the organized crime from casinos. Maybe it
mm,
had something to do with the music industry. There's a lot of maybes. I don't have the answers. I'm just saying what I saw and witnessed
mm.
and what I've saw my whole life and learned how it's done. Um, but yeah, it's thousands. From 9/11, I think I shared my story in the book. I don't remember of 9/11 and what I witnessed about the cover up of the first attack on 9/11. That usually gets taken down right away when I try to share that one. I'll share it real quick. It's not.
No, you didn't share it in the book, so I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, there was two attacks on 9/11. The first one, there was vehicles placed in the basement, and those vehicles blew up, and it tore the concrete off those steel beams in the basement. Well, it when that the first attack happened, it tilted the skyscraper just enough. It had to be tore down. It had to come down. So the government officials that went in looked at the evidence and said, "Yeah, these buildings have to be torn down. This skyscraper has to come down." So what they did was they planned an attack to have our government take those buildings down with the planes coming in them. The people didn't have to pay. I mean, the United States taxpayer had to pay, but a lot of people lost their lives when those planes hit in there. And my fact is, I was there. I saw the cover ups of government officials telling the other officials the buildings were safe when they were not. The officials were sitting there saying, yeah, the buildings are unsafe. They have to become tear down. And the government officials were saying, no, they don't have to come down. So our CIA planned that. They planned a way to start a war and have those buildings come down. And that was caused by the first attack that nobody really knows about. Nobody knows that there was vehicles placed in the basement and blew up. I mean, it was on the news, but the when on 9/11, that was all planned to tear those buildings down. It was planned to start a war. I mean, our CIA, they're not stupid. If they're going to do one thing, they're going to do 10 things. So yeah, those buildings had to come down. They started a war. It was one great way to start a war, having planes fly into our skyscrapers. Instant war. Yeah, Bush got up there on that rubble and said, "We're going to get fucking even for this." Well, we should have, what can you do? It's too late now. But yeah, the people that were standing on that rubble saying, "We're going to get even," are the guilty ones, straight up.
Right, right. Well, I like to think most people watching this video already know, they already know that 9/11 was not what we were told. I mean, there's some that I've actually argued with recently that I'm like, you don't know? Are you crazy? And of course they think I'm crazy, but there's a lot of reasons why I think those buildings were taken down, multiple reasons, and the timing, as well. But yeah, they got away with it. They've gotten away with so much. And I think where we are right now in time is the buck stops here. We're trying to get the truth out. Like we can't, this is not sustainable. This is not how people choose to live. They don't want crime. They don't want murder. They don't want killing. They want happy, peaceful families. You know what I mean? And they want work that means something to them. They want relationships. They want to enjoy life. And I don't think many people are at this moment. So your story is a good one. It's
Yeah,
necessary for it to come out.
for them planning 9/11 and what happened, it's really, really strange. I was listening to talk radio. I drove a mail truck, not the little one, but the great big one where they have all the sacks of mail in the back. And my job was to drive from Pennsylvania to Virginia every day and deliver a truck of mail and pick up a new truck of mail and drive back to Pennsylvania. So I was listening to talk radio when I drove by the turnoff to the Pentagon. Um, I was driving right there and it came on the news. There was an attack on 9/11. And I was like, what the hell? I had tears in my eyes and I pulled into a truck stop just so I could watch it on the news. And I watched it for a while, but I had to go deliver my mail and,
Yeah.
do that. But a week earlier, I had the same route. So I'm driving up 81 and there was three guys in a car. I call them ragheads. I'm sorry, that's just what I call them. I've always called them ragheads because they put the turban on their head. But there was three of these guys, and I could swear to this day it was Muhammad Atta, one of the guys that planned the attack on 9/11, or MK Ultra into it. But I had an American flag on the side of my door on my mail truck, great big American flag. Well, these three guys pull up next to the truck, and they gave me the most evil look. And it was like, were they looking at the American flag? Were they looking at me? But this guy was right next to the truck and had hate in his face. Well, what he did was he had a handful of trash and he threw it at me. This was going down the highway. And his face was pockmarked, just like Muhammad Atta. I could swear it was Muhammad Atta. Pulled up next to me and threw trash on me. Um, and this was a week prior to 9/11. So when I saw Muhammad Atta's face all over the news, I was like, that's the same dude that threw trash at my truck. What the hell is going on? So I called up the FBI and I said, hey, I just want to let you know if you're curious where Muhammad Atta was and the action he was taking a week prior, he was going northbound on 81 at approximately this time. And I just said, I can't say for sure, but it sure looked like it was him. Check it out. And, once again, they're like, oh, fuck you.
Well, you've been to the FBI multiple times and you never got any satisfaction. They never assisted you and they basically turned you away every single time. We talked about that the last time a little bit. So yeah, it does seem interesting how they don't have interest in solving the crime because they're perpetrators.
They're part of the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they all got their crime rings. They're all in on the child trafficking and the torture and the control, and that's how they get away with their crimes. They have others to do their crimes for them. And Ted Gunderson, the former FBI, I believe he was chief of the FBI, was exposing that and the cults. Um, Ted Gunderson was in charge of the FBI, and he decided to come out. He was basically saying public, our FBI has become a criminal organization, along with our CIA and Secret Service. They are now criminals. He talked about what he knew about the child trafficking, and I think he described Bullhead City also in one of his interviews. He was saying there was a place, an hour away from Las Vegas where they were child trafficking kids, and I was like, yeah, that's Laughlin, Nevada. That's right where my family members were killed. Is an hour away from Las Vegas. So he was trying to expose it. He died of cancer. Like I said, I believe when these people die and they're trying to share their story, cancer is poison. They secretly get ingested with something that makes them ill and they don't recover. They got some powerful our CIA, they ricin, you get one little tiny itty bitty speck under your skin and you're dead. There's so many scary things that they can do, but they're so organized. They got doctors in their pockets, they got coroners in their pockets, all the public officials. When you work for the government, you do what the government says. That's your job, and you already know you can't run your mouth because you're working for the government. um, so it's a no-win-win. I mean, Ted Gunderson had the balls to say, hey, we got a big problem with these satanic cults and everything taking over government. He even knew, publicly said, yeah, the JFK assassination was an inside job. Um, so yeah, much respect for that man. He's trying to do what I'm trying to do. Not that I was the chief of the FBI, but damn, I was in the fucking White House when I was 3. That's something.
totally something. And just your story alone is it's just mind-blowing to us how you could have been treated that way. And like we would think witness protection, you'd be put into a nice little country family and live a normal life, maybe a quiet life, maybe not wealthy, but you certainly wouldn't go through what you've gone through. You know what I mean?
They've used they it's all they use every tool they can possibly get
Yeah.
over and over again. It's all about using all their resources, and I guess me being the son of a president was one of their resources. All the cover-ups that all the Secret Service agents and people that knew me and knew of the cover-ups.
Right.
I don't have all the answers, but they sure like
Mm.
using people for everything. I feel
Yeah.
sometimes like I got milked for every ounce I had in me
Right.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's all coming out now. It's all good now.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I said,
yeah, all the money
best
and all the resources have been sucked out. So yeah.
best Christmas, best birthday I've ever had. It was absolutely wonderful, and I thank the supporters for that totally awesome birthday. I thank Rockin' Robin for that. Um, yeah, she wanted to meet me. We hooked up and fell in love. She's been wonderful. I love her. Um, and then the haters come in and all the other hate and you know, but it's all good. Things are
It's
turning
only going to
around
get
for.
better. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is a good ending point for today. And if you're agreeable, I would love to talk to you again. And I've got another whole page of questions and there will be more.
Awesome.
So, and you can tell random stories because they're super interesting. I know you've been in Hollywood, you've met a lot of people. Everyone wants to know about that. So if we could talk again, that would be amazing. And
I would love to.
what I'll do is today I'm going to edit this video to and I'll have it out on the site a few hours. And then I'm going to ask all of those that are watching to share it around so it gets some traction. And so if you want to help John, there's two ways you can do so. Of course, pray for him. And if you're in Smarty's group, we don't pray, we send the commands for healing and all of that. Use the tools. If you want to purchase the book, okay, the book is a great foundation for these stories because it explains it. And like I said, easy to read, hard to hear. Okay. But then I will also have a Cash App link in the description below. And the Cash App is Poor Boy John Jr. Okay. And John is not asking for this. I'm asking for your help. If you have anything you can spare to give John, it only adds to his comfort. So thank you for that. All right.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
You're much appreciated. And I would love to come on again, sharing my stories and my everything. So, unless I have an appointment at the doctor or something, I would
Right.
love to anytime you
Right.
want.
Well, you just tell me, and thank you all for having open minds, for watching, for spreading the word. And I look forward to this becoming common knowledge.